Hey guys, welcome to my channel. So here's another episode of What Does the Black Community Needs to Hear. Now, this is a great way to have us all pitch in on our thoughts that need to be shared in our community. So if you find anything that resonates with you, or if you like to share your own thoughts on what does the Black community needs to hear, leave it down in the comments.
Watch this and tell me something that the Black community needs to hear, like ASAP.
When somebody get on this app, more so a Black person, and try to explain their traumas with another Black person, that does not mean people who don't share those same traumas should come and try and downplay their traumas. So when someone says Black mothers and then Black mothers come and say, well, not me, when no one said all Black mothers, and you try to downplay somebody's experience with a Black mother, is the most inconsiderate, asinine thing that you can ever do. And I feel like the people in the Black community need to stop. And when I say people in the Black community, I mean more so Black women. Y'all need to stop trying to downplay other people's traumas because you didn't experience said trauma. Weirdos.
Ditch this and tell me something that the Black community needs to hear, like ASAP.
What's up? Gender reveals are not weddings. Calm down. Somebody had to say it.
Ditch this and tell me something that the Black community needs to hear.
Growing up, we're taught on the importance of not to be around bad company and how that bad company can affect you negatively. However, we never apply that same rule to ministry and how important it is to choose the right church. Being at the wrong ministry can cost you everything too. What are some of the things that you need to look out for? You should never feel pressured to be a member. God has led you to a church. You will know when you're ready. You start attending a church and you're in a good place emotionally, financially, and physically. All of a sudden down the road, you notice that your money is drying up, your health is being compromised, and that brand new car that you had is now driving like it has 3 wheels. Do not ignore that. That's a red flag. There are many other examples, but here's the last one. If most of the men and women in the church are having issues with infidelity, you need to take a strong look at who's leading that church. I don't care how innocent they may seem like they are, there is something going on with the leadership.
Ditch this and tell me something that the Black community needs to hear, like ASAP.
Number one, stop being in such a rush to kick your kids out the house at 18. Them babies are grown, and they need time to develop and grow into a functioning adult. Okay? Number two, Black moms, I love y'all, but just because your daughter is not struggling the same way that you did or making the same choices that you did when you were her age does not mean that the choices she's making for herself right now in this society are wrong. Y'all grew up in 2 different times, so you can't hold her to that same standard, okay? And last but not least, just because you beat the shit out of us does not mean that we're beating the shit out of our kids, because we understand that is a cycle of abuse. And that's why a lot of us struggle with anxiety and depression because of that cycle of abuse. So you can fix your lips as much as you want to. We're not beating our kids. I said what the fuck I said.
Ditch this and tell me something that the Black community needs to hear, like
It's time to decolonize your parenting. Raising your children in an environment of fear, violence, and intimidation is directly passed to us through the slave trade, and it needs to stop. Also, please start going to therapy for the generational trauma you most definitely have.
Ditch this and tell me something that the Black community needs to hear.
Stop beating your kids. Enough said. Stop raising the boys as the pride and joy of the family and the daughters as a burden. In particular, stop praising the boys for doing the bare minimum and then making the daughters do all the chores in the house. Stop this narrative that you could turn a boy gay by giving him a kitchen set or doll babies when he was younger. Because for a lot of men in our community, if passing on the male name and the male line is strong, how do you expect to do that if your own male son can't clean or cook for himself? Oh, wait, you think the girls are going to do it. Stop being your child's first bully. The world already is shitty enough as it is. They do not need to go home and have you bully them additionally to the shit they go through at school. And finally, not everything that's outside Christianity is demonic. Do you realize that we weren't all originally Christians? It was forced upon us.
Ditch this and tell me something that the black community needs to hear.
The civil rights movement is over. While it made changes and strides for black people, it wasn't enough. It wasn't a light switch, like the problems didn't go away. If anything, all it did was let people in positions of power and in the government find ways to circumvent the very laws that they said they put in place to support and help us. And in that process, we have black people who are so disenfranchised from their blackness that they don't even know who they are. And I can say it one more time, maybe people will hear me. All skin folk ain't kinfolk. Every black person will not be on the track with us. They are not going to help us. Who is going to help us but us? Oh, there may be people who say they're accomplices, but we need to be working for us in our own communities. Quit that colorism mess and stop hiding family secrets and get to work.
Ditch this and tell me something that the black community needs to hear, like ASAP.
Stop telling the pastor to take his time. We've been here long enough. I got things to do. I want to go home. Wrap it up.
Ditch this and tell me something that the black community needs to hear.
Two quick things. You were not born in sin. You were born with normal, healthy desires to enjoy human interaction and life. You don't deserve to be punished for that. Secondly, you're not experiencing a generational curse. You're experiencing systematic oppression.
Ditch this and tell me something that the black community needs to hear, like ASAP.
The reason why there's no real black leaders is because actual effective black leaders are murdered. Actual wide-scale improvement for the black community, be it, I don't know, Tulsa, Oklahoma, is burned down. So to all my super woke African Americans who feel as though that they're at the top of the totem pole of blackness and who are making changes, unless what you're doing is putting you on the radar for America to want to kill you, your family, and destroy everything that you own, you're probably doing just enough to make some noise, but not doing enough to disturb the system. I'm just saying.
Ditch this and tell me something that the black community needs to hear, like ASAP.
Y'all stop putting S's on everything. Squid Game. Not games. It's seasoned salt. Stop calling it seasoned. I know. For years, I've been just bamboozled, but it's seasoned salt. Stop putting comment in the tub and then walking away like you seasoning the tub. It's just not. Just clean that shit and get it over with. We can stop eating chitlins and pig feet now. I promise you, it's okay. Hennessy tastes like E&J's brother who graduated from college with an associate's degree. E&J dropped out of high school to sell weed. And then y'all want to argue. It's Parmesan. It's the same thing. We've pretty much ruined the legacy for Black Air Force Ones. Like, stop buying them. Somebody walk in with Black Air Force Ones, the whole room get quiet. He got on the Black Air Force Ones.
Ditch this and tell me something that the black community needs to hear, like ASAP.
We need to start accepting all forms of black people. That includes black people who do things that you may not necessarily agree with, like watch anime or listen to country music or date around with white people. We have to come to an understanding that there is no such thing as just one black experience. If you are black in America, that is a black experience. It's really damaging to black people when you have a characteristic or something about you that isn't necessarily what people seem as black and you get shunned from your own community from it. We're not all the same, and that's okay. The only time your black card should be taken away is when you do things that directly affect us in a negative way. And you do so all the time. But even if we take it away, once you've proven that you're not doing that anymore, you should get it back. In conclusion, black people are not a monolith. And we need to stop outcasting black people who do things that we don't necessarily seem as black.
Ditch this and tell me something that the black community needs to hear, like
So what I would like for my people to do is to really study what our ancestors did. because all the stuff we going through, they went through the same thing. And really look at the people who actually got results. And the ones who got results was the ones who actually just was like, you know what, let's just create our own stuff. For example, people been protesting and hollering yesterday because Charleston County School District is trying to privatize the public schools, and y'all know what that means for the low black and brown churn. You know, they want this one group to be in control of all the schools, which is like, nah. But my thing is, they're gonna do what they want to do. So it's like, instead of us wasting all our energy protesting, doing all that at the school board, why don't we just create our own schools like how our people did? Why don't we just create our own communities like how our people did? And they did this after slavery. Some even did this during slavery. A lot of free towns like Liberty Hill in Charleston, Maryville, like a lot of like the hike, a lot of these places was started when our ancestors were fresh out of slavery. So what's stopping us from doing it now? Like, and they ready. So